What would you do if the man you thought was dead suddenly walked into your daughter's wedding with another woman? Prepare for a shocking story about betrayal, secrets, and a woman's journey to reclaim her life. Stay tuned, you won't believe what happens next. But before we start into this story, please support us by liking this video, subscribe to our channel, and let us know where you're watching from. We love to hear your thoughts. It was a golden September afternoon in Charleston, South Carolina. Harper Lawson had been up since dawn, preparing for her daughter Lily's wedding. The backyard of their family estate was strung with fairy lights and blooming white roses, everything looking just the way Lily had dreamed since she was 12. As the ceremony began, Harper sat near the front, holding a delicate handkerchief in her lap. She smiled proudly as Lily walked down the aisle, arm in arm with her stepfather, Martin. But her smile faded as her eyes wandered over the guests. That's when she saw him. In the back row, partially obscured by a maple tree, stood a man in a navy suit. Harper's heart clenched. The way he stood, the turn of his jaw, the way he smiled at Lily. Number it couldn't be. Her husband, Michael Lawson, had died 10 years ago, a boating accident off the coast of Savannah. They never recovered his body, but the Coast Guard found his wedding band and fragments of the wreckage. She'd grieved him, buried an empty casket, and built a new life for herself and Lily. But this man, he wasn't just similar, he was Michael. Harper's hands began to shake. She turned to Martin, whispering that she needed a moment. As the vows began, Harper quietly stepped away from her seat and slipped through the guests, trying not to make a scene. The man turned slightly, laughing at something the woman beside him whispered, a blonde, elegant woman who clung to his arm. Harper's stomach dropped. She moved closer, close enough to see the scar on his temple, the same scar Michael got from a biking accident in college. There was no doubt, that was him. But he didn't flinch when he saw her, didn't seem to recognize her at all. "Michael?" she whispered. The man blinked, startled. "Excuse me, ma'am?" His eyes met hers, blue, sharp, and familiar, and Harper felt her knees go weak. "It's me, Harper." He hesitated, then smiled politely like he was speaking to a stranger. "I think you have me confused with someone else," he said calmly, then guided the blonde woman away. Harper stood frozen under the tree as cheers erupted behind her. Her daughter had just said, "I do," and yet all Harper could feel was betrayal, confusion, and rage. Harper barely remembered the rest of the wedding. Her daughter Lily glowed as she danced with her new husband Ethan. But Harper's eyes kept scanning the crowd, hoping, dreading that she'd see him again. The man who looked exactly like her late husband. The man who denied knowing her. After the cake was cut and the first dances ended, Harper slipped away from the reception. She needed air. She needed answers. She needed to scream. 10 years. 10 years of grief, therapy, insomnia, and nightmares. 10 years of raising Lily alone, struggling to move forward while holding on to every photo, voicemail, and keepsake like they were oxygen. Harper sat in her car, fingers trembling on the steering wheel. She pulled out her phone and scrolled to an old folder. Michael memories. There he was, smiling on the beach, holding baby Lily in his arms, grinning on their anniversary. That man she loved. That man she buried. But now she couldn't be sure of anything. The police said Michael had gone out fishing during a storm. His boat capsized. The wreckage washed ashore 2 days later. His wedding ring had been recovered, wedged in the shattered wood. They never found a body, but the investigation concluded he drowned. Harper remembered collapsing in the sand when the officer handed her the ring. She remembered Lily asking, "When's Daddy coming home?" She remembered clinging to the closed casket, whispering goodbye, begging God to wake her from the nightmare. And now? Now Michael was alive? With another woman? That night, Harper didn't sleep. She sat on her couch wrapped in a blanket, pouring through old reports, clippings, insurance paperwork. Something didn't add up. She dug through her safe, pulling out the autopsy waiver, signed because there was no body. She stared at the official letter from the Coast Guard declaring him presumed deceased. But that wasn't enough anymore. The next morning, Harper visited the private investigator she had once hired years ago, Mark Deaton. He had retired, but his niece, Rebecca, now ran the office. Harper laid out everything: photos, the incident report, and now the face she saw at the wedding. Rebecca frowned, tapping her pen against her notebook. "You're saying you saw your husband, presumed dead a decade ago, at your daughter's wedding?" "Yes," Harper said, her voice steady, "and I need to know where he's been, who he is now, and why he lied." Rebecca nodded. "We'll start with the wedding guest list and photos. If he left any digital footprint, we'll find it." Harper stood, her legs still shaky. Before she left, Rebecca looked up. "One question, Ms. Lawson. Are you sure it was him?" Harper didn't even blink. "I never stopped seeing that face in my dreams. It was him." As she stepped back into the sunlit Charleston street, Harper made a silent vow. She would find the truth, no matter what it destroyed. Within a week, Harper got a call from Rebecca. "I found him," she said calmly, as if she hadn't just shattered Harper's world all over again. Harper's breath caught. "You're sure?" "His name is Daniel Merrick now. Lives in Raleigh, North Carolina. Married, no criminal record. Works as a partner in a financial consulting firm. Moved there around 9 years ago." Daniel Merrick. Harper whispered the name like a curse. Rebecca continued. "I found an address, public property records, and even a wedding announcement from 8 years ago in a local paper. The woman he married is Olivia Merrick. Used to be Olivia Tate. Former model. Now runs a boutique. No kids. They live in a gated community." Harper couldn't breathe. "He died," she said softly. "He was supposed to be dead." "I pulled the Coast Guard files," Rebecca added. "You were right. The evidence was circumstantial. No body. No witnesses. It's entirely possible he faked it." Harper hung up and stared out the window for hours. How could someone disappear so completely and start over without a trace? And more importantly, why? That weekend, Harper drove 3 hours to Raleigh. She parked across the street from a house that looked like it had been plucked from a glossy magazine. 2 stories, blue shutters, neatly trimmed hedges, and a red door. She watched from her car as the man she once loved stepped onto the porch carrying a travel mug. He kissed Olivia goodbye, then got into a black SUV. Michael. No, Daniel. Looked older now. His hair was a bit grayer, but the way he walked, the slight hitch in his left leg, the way he laughed into his phone, it was him. Harper followed at a distance. He drove to a sleek downtown building and disappeared inside. She waited. Hours passed. She didn't eat, didn't move. Her hands gripped the wheel until her knuckles turned white. When he finally re-emerged, he looked relaxed, content, like a man without a past. She wanted to scream, to run up and demand answers, but she didn't. Not yet. Instead, Harper returned to Charleston and opened her storage unit for the first time in years. She pulled out a dusty box labeled Michael. Personal. Inside were handwritten letters, love notes, anniversary cards, every piece of a man she thought she knew. One photo fell out. Michael holding baby Lily, smiling with Harper beside him on a sun-soaked beach. She clenched the photo in her hand. He had chosen this. To vanish. To leave her and their daughter grieving for years. And now he lived as if none of it happened. This wasn't just betrayal. It was deception on a level Harper couldn't comprehend. The Charleston sun was setting when Harper made the call. Lackley picked up on the third ring, still glowing from her honeymoon excitement. "Hey, Mom, how are you?" Harper hesitated. "Sweetheart, I need to talk to you. It's important. Can you come by tomorrow?" "Sure," Lily said, suddenly concerned. "Is everything okay?" Harper managed to keep her voice steady. "I'll explain when I see you. Just promise me you'll come alone." The next afternoon, Lily arrived with her hair still damp from the beach and a bag of pastries from her favorite cafe. She kissed Harper on the cheek and sat down at the kitchen table, cheerful until she saw the file on the table. "What's all this?" Harper took a deep breath and slid a photo across the table. Lily blinked. "That's that guy from the wedding, the one you walked off during the ceremony to talk to?" Harper nodded. "That man is your father." Lily laughed, but it was dry, confused. "Mom, Dad's dead, you know that." "No," Harper said softly. "He's not. His name is Daniel Merrick now. He's alive, living in Raleigh. He was at your wedding, and he's been lying to us for 10 years. Lily stared at her, unblinking. That's impossible. I hired a PI. We have photos, addresses, records. It's him. I spoke to him. Lily. He looked right at me and pretended not to know me. Lily pushed back from the table, trembling. Why would he do that? Why would he let us believe he was dead? Harper reached across the table, grabbing her daughter's hand. I don't know, but we deserve answers. Lily pulled her hand away. You should have told me right away. I didn't want to ruin your wedding, Harper whispered. But we're not letting this go. 2 days later, Harper and Lily drove to Raleigh together. The trip was silent, heavy with questions neither dared to voice aloud. When they arrived outside the blue-shuttered house, Harper's heart raced. Lily didn't wait. She marched up to the door and rang the bell. It was Olivia who answered, elegant in a silk robe and clearly unprepared for the storm at her doorstep. Yes? Lily's voice cracked. Is Daniel home? Before Olivia could respond, Daniel appeared behind her, sipping coffee. He froze when he saw Harper, and then Lily. His color drained. What? What is this? Lily stepped forward, her voice trembling. You're my father. Olivia looked from one face to the other. Daniel, what is she talking about? Daniel opened his mouth, but no words came. Harper stared at him, her voice cold. You died, remember? Or at least that's what you let us believe? Olivia gasped. Daniel, what are they talking about? Michael, Daniel, looked like a man caught between two lives. Because he was. And finally, after a decade of silence, the lie began to crack. Daniel stared at Harper and Lily as if he were seeing ghosts. Olivia backed away slowly, eyes wide, her hand gripping the edge of the door. You need to leave, Daniel said, his voice shaking. But Lily stepped inside. Number, not this time, she snapped. You don't get to run, not after everything. Daniel glanced at Olivia, who was now pale and trembling. Olivia, please go upstairs. I need to talk to them. She didn't move. Talk to who? Daniel, what is this? Harper took a step forward, her voice firm. We're his wife and daughter, from the life he left behind. Olivia's lips parted, but no words came. Her eyes filled with betrayal as she looked at Daniel. You're married? We're married, Harper corrected bitterly. I buried an empty casket for this man 10 years ago. Daniel's shoulders slumped. The weight of the past had caught up to him. I never meant for it to go this far, he said. I never meant to hurt anyone. You disappeared, Lily shouted, her hands trembling. You left me and Mom to grieve for years. You let us believe you were dead. I thought it was the only way, he whispered. Harper's voice cracked. The only way for what, Michael? Daniel looked at her sharply. Don't call me that. Then explain, Harper snapped. Because you owe us that much. He sat down on the edge of the couch and stared at the floor. There was a storm. That part was real. The boat went down. I was thrown into the water and washed ashore miles away. But I didn't go to the authorities. I didn't call. I didn't come home. Why? Lily's voice cracked. He hesitated. Because I was drowning long before that storm. Debt. Secrets. A failed investment I hid from you, Harper. I was facing criminal charges I never told you about. I thought, if I disappeared, you and Lily could start over without my mess. Harper stepped back like she'd been slapped. You chose to abandon us? You chose to let us mourn you instead of facing consequences like a man? I watched you from afar, he said. I kept tabs on you both. When I saw how strong you were, how well Lily was doing, I convinced myself you were better off. You are a coward, Harper said through clenched teeth. Olivia stood frozen by the stairwell. Is any of it real? Are we real? Daniel looked at her. I never lied to you. I just never told you everything. That's not love, Olivia said quietly. That's deception. Lily wiped a tear from her cheek. I don't even know who you are. Daniel looked up at her. You're my daughter. No, she whispered. You lost that right the moment you chose to let me grow up without a father. Silence settled like dust. Harper turned away first. We got what we came for. The truth, as she and Lily walked out the door, Daniel didn't stop them. He just sat there surrounded by a life built on lies, finally forced to face the wreckage he'd left behind. The drive back to Charleston was silent. Harper kept her eyes on the road, knuckles white around the steering wheel. Beside her, Lily stared blankly out the window, arms crossed tightly over her chest. Only when they pulled into Harper's driveway did Lily finally speak. "He watched us suffer, Mom, and did nothing." Harper nodded slowly, pain in her eyes. "I think, in his own twisted way, he believed it was protecting us." Lily scoffed. "That's not protection, that's cowardice." They sat in the parked car for a few minutes more, the weight of the truth pressing down like a heavy fog. Harper reached over and took Lily's hand. "We survived without him," she said, "and we'll keep surviving." Lily squeezed back. "He's not my father. Not anymore." The next morning, Olivia called. Harper debated not answering, but curiosity won out. "I just want to say thank you," Olivia said softly, "for telling me the truth. For not pretending." Harper was surprised. "You didn't know anything?" "Not a word. I thought his past was just mysterious. He said he lost his wife and daughter in a car crash. I never pushed. Now I see why." "I'm sorry you got pulled into this." "So am I," Olivia replied. "I'm leaving him." There was a pause. "I'm not saying this because I want to hurt you," Olivia added, "but that man is a stranger. I've been living with someone who built a whole life on secrets. I don't want that." Harper sighed. "Neither did I. But it's what we got." Later that day, Harper and Lily sat down with Rebecca, the PI. "I can file a civil suit," Rebecca offered. "Wrongful abandonment. Fraud. He committed a crime, even if the statute of limitations makes it tricky." But Harper shook her head. "We're not doing this for revenge. We just wanted the truth." Lily nodded. "He has to live with what he did. That's enough." Still, Rebecca left them with a file thick with documentation, just in case. Harper stored it away with the others. Another painful chapter in a box labeled past. In the weeks that followed, Harper and Lily tried to resume normal life, but shadows lingered. One afternoon, Harper stood by the ocean, barefoot in the sand, the same beach where she and Michael had once walked with baby Lily. The wind carried memories she could never reclaim, but the salt air also reminded her she was still standing, still breathing. Behind her, Lily approached with 2 cups of coffee. "Want to talk about it?" Lily asked, sitting beside her. Harper shook her head. "Not today. Today I just want to remember who we are without him." They sipped in silence, the sun setting in a blaze of color over the water. For all his lies, Michael had given Harper one gift, Lily, and that was more than enough. The months that followed were a quiet, healing time for both Harper and Lily. The shadows of Michael's betrayal no longer consumed their lives. Instead, they began to rebuild together as they had always done. Lily threw herself into her career. The boutique she had started, which had once felt like a dream she shared with Michael, now became a sanctuary for her own growth. She expanded it, adding new lines and even mentoring young women who dreamed of starting their own businesses. Lily discovered something she hadn't expected. Her strength wasn't just inherited from her mother, but cultivated within her. Harper, too, found a renewed sense of purpose. She'd always loved interior design, but over the years, the demands of motherhood and her marriage to Michael had taken precedence. Now, with the burden of his lies behind her, she finally began to follow her own passions. She started taking on small design projects, giving her home a fresh start, and even began offering consultations to friends and clients who needed her touch. The most remarkable change, however, was in their relationship. Lily and Harper grew even closer. They laughed more, spoke freely, and supported each other without hesitation. Every evening they would sit together in Harper's living room, sharing stories and dreams over a glass of wine, knowing that the two of them could face anything life threw their way. Then one crisp autumn evening, just as the sun was dipping low in the sky, Lily brought up the one thing Harper had tried to avoid: Michael. "I've been thinking about him," Lily said, tracing a finger over the rim of her wineglass. "Not because I miss him, but because I realized something." Harper raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" "That I can forgive him, not because I want him back, but because holding on to anger doesn't serve me anymore." Harper was quiet for a long time. "You don't need to forgive him for my sake, but if you feel it's right for you, I think it's a step in your healing, too. Lily smiled faintly, a peacefulness in her eyes that Harper hadn't seen in years. Maybe we can finally leave that chapter behind. It was true. As much as the past had shaped them, it no longer controlled their future. A few weeks later, Harper received a letter in the mail. It was from Daniel. She hadn't expected it and certainly hadn't asked for it. The letter was brief, but it struck her deep in her chest. Harper, I don't expect your forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm sorry for everything. I thought I was saving you, and in doing so, I ruined the one thing that mattered most. I hope one day you can find peace, and I will always be grateful for the time we had. She held the letter for a long time before folding it back into the envelope. It wasn't an apology that would fix everything. It wasn't a key to unlocking the lost years, but it was the beginning of something she had needed more than she realized: closure. Lily, who had been watching her mother, gave a soft nod. Are you going to reply? Harper paused, then smiled. Number, I think it's time to move on. And that was exactly what they did. With each passing day, Harper and Lily created new memories, new traditions, and new stories. They planted seeds of joy in places that once felt empty and filled their lives with love and laughter. For the first time in years, Harper felt at peace. The future was no longer a daunting reminder of a man who had abandoned them, but a bright promise of all the things she and Lily would do together. As the sun set on another perfect evening, Harper stood on her porch, looking out at the horizon. She knew life wouldn't always be easy, but with Lily by her side, they could face anything. They were stronger now, unbreakable, and for the first time in a long while, Harper finally felt like she was living again. Harper and Lily's journey from betrayal to healing is a testament to the power of resilience and love. Despite the lies that once shattered their lives, they found strength in each other and the truth, rebuilding their futures together. Their story reminds us that while the past may shape us, it doesn't define us, and with courage, we can always move forward. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more emotional and uplifting stories. Share your thoughts in the comments below. How would you have handled a situation like Harper and Lily's? We'd love to hear your perspective.